Did you watch The Matrix?
I did not.
Okay.
Is that in theaters or not? I still can't tell.
It is both in theaters and available online.
Okay. I can't. I legitimately cannot tell anything being in theaters or not anymore.
Yeah.
Apparently, Spider-Man is only in theaters.
Yes.
Don't like if you got to see that movie, good for you. But
Yeah.
if you want to go see that movie now,
Fuck
don't go
off.
see that movie. Don't do it. Bad
Um,
move.
yeah. So, Matrix 4 is HBO Max, I believe.
Hmm.
Anyway, so since you haven't seen
So
it,
you saw it.
I saw it, and I will give my spoiler-free impressions. I didn't like it. I thought it was a bad movie. I
I
thought,
saw people describing it as a 2-hour movie about how cool it would be to make another Matrix movie.
yeah. So, there's. It feels to me like a TV show was made about the Matrix, and this is the TV show cut down into 2.5 hours. Um, I don't want to spoil, but I'm just talking about, like, again, structure and such. It feels as if they're doing. There's a lot of meta play. There's a lot of self, kind of like self-deprecating humor, and commentary and such. Um, but I mean, as a whole, it the first movie, I'm one of those people that thinks the first movie was incredible, and I think the second and third one were not. And in this case, this fourth one comes in, and I think it's also not incredible. I think it has basically, there's two things about it that I think are cool. There's two concepts that it kind of introduces as an idea that are just fun things to kind of examine. And they don't fully explore them to the degree that I think they could have. So the two things are, in one case, there is a clear narrative that comes alongside the fact that Lana Wachowski has had a life where, having transitioned, there's a lot that comes with that. And you can see where that journey translates onto the script and is a part of this, and it's interesting, and I feel as if it's touched on, and it's something that it would have been interesting to see it extrapolated a little bit in a couple of different ways, but it's touched on a little bit here, and I kind of go, oh, that's something that's I think is cool here in this setting. And the second thing is, there is a aspect that you think of with the Matrix 2 and 3 where you go, hey, well, if the machines have to somehow now use less batteries to power their society, what are they going to do about that? How are they going to do that, right? And that question and the hypothetical answer are also really interesting. It's like, okay, so the Matrix 3 ends with people basically being allowed to decide whether or not they want to stay in or not. Now, in a world where we don't have, infinite fields of batteries, what does the machine army do?
Yeah, the movie ends with deciding whether or not you want to pay a monthly fee to play the Matrix online.
Exactly. Yeah. So those two aspects I thought introduced into the lore and the philosophy of this whole world are interesting things to think about, and I would have liked to have seen them developed or explored a little bit more than they were. And that's what I thought was interesting. Everything else feels poorly acted. It feels badly paced. It feels weirdly. I don't say low budget to be oh, fuck this for not being
Yeah, but it's a Matrix movie. These were spectacles.
Sure. So, it makes fun of the idea of spectacle, and then it tries to do some spectacle, and that spectacle ends up being not as compelling. One thing I can just say, like, looking at it as a whole, is the choreography is awful. Like, say what you will about,
Oh
like,
no!
some people are like, some people are kind of going, it's fun, it's trying some fun ideas, and I can see how, like, I can see where those people are coming from. But one thing that's happening is, in the original movie, you had Yuan Wu Ping doing some awesome shit, and
Some of
the
the best shit ever, yeah.
choreography was hot. It was really tight. And in this movie, you have not that. You have choreography that's really bad. The fights are not interesting.
Dude.
They're kind of, and like the pop moments are meant to just like echo previous pop moments from the first movie.
I don't know, man. The whole time you were describing this, I'm like, well, he's gonna say this about the acting maybe, and the tone, and the budget or whatever, but then he's gonna be, and I'm gonna go, yeah, but I bet there was some cool part with kung fu fist fights and the guns, right?
No,
because like Reloaded was one of the shittiest movies I ever saw in a theater,
but it had the burly brawl,
except for the 15 minutes where they were on that fucking highway
and the highway chase. The burly brawl, it had these things. Yeah. No, you don't get that here. Also, I feel like you want to get some like I want to say Danny Elfman, right? Scored the Matrix earlier, and I don't know if he returned for this, but there's nothing notable that hits like Neo Damarang. Like Neo Damarang is still used as a fucking meme song, because of how strong that is. That is the Matrix's version of Duel of the Fates.
I don't like what you're telling me.
I can't think of anything in this that I felt was like, okay, that's a Matrix level score, like music. It felt like the Matrix TV show made a TV movie. And this is where we're leaving off, and all the concessions that come with that. It feels as if, when you're introducing some characters, you're seeing some people in makeup. The makeup is not very good. In some cases, you're seeing some actors that are new. And I think there's people from their other project, Sense8, but those actors are not doing a particularly good job. I mentioned how there's parts of The Many Saints of Newark where you feel like you're watching an SNL skit with younger people acting like the Sopranos characters. This is that, but that SNL skit was making me laugh when young Syl was being Syl. Here, your young equivalent of all these Matrix characters are just, they're not pulling it off. They're not doing a good job of it. It's really, yeah. There's an
so like instead of I forget, I don't know the actor's name, but the younger Morpheus being Morpheus, you would have preferred Hannibal Buress Morpheusing it, because at least then you would have a chuckle.
Or just not having to draw the parallel to go, this guy is Morpheus, let's look at what he does or says, or he's a different Morpheus. Okay, that's fine, we can do a different Morpheus. Oh, but you're not funny or interesting or anything. Morpheus is not funny, so why would that matter? Because this one's trying to be funny and it's not working. So there's an envelope of cringe that you feel very often.
I don't know, man. When you're, because this was like my gut feeling worry, which is like, oh, it's gonna be a Matrix, but maybe it's a new thing or it's a weird thing. I don't know. And there's Neo, and that's the Keanu Reeves man, and then there's Trinity, and there's the Carrie Ann Moss. Okay, and here's rounding for third, not Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Just the third best actor in those movies.
No, no. I in this case, I'd say third goes to the new girl with the blue hair. And for what it's worth, like she was fine for the new characters. It's just there's a bunch of others that are just like these guys that are played for comedy bits, and it's also, yeah, it's got more comedy than the Matrix ever had, admittedly. Um, I'm kind of left with like a feeling of like, yeah, they certainly tried for something. I just don't happen to think it worked, and I feel as if the overall, by the time you get to the final like third of the movie, like from the point the climax jumps off and then it's all into the, the big race to the credits, it just starts getting so flaccid, so weirdly. Okay, I'm gonna say this: getting Keanu Reeves back to do a Matrix movie. It's like, yeah, he's the fucking the titular lead. He's the guy.
Yeah.
So he's gonna do that. Getting the others, probably you'd have to take some convincing. And I could have imagined a version of the script where nobody but Neo was gonna return, and then I can imagine they went back and they went, okay, can we get Carrie Ann? And they're like, no, she's not interested in the script. And it's like, okay, let's make some changes that'll make her interested. Okay, and then we did that. And so now we've got Carrie Ann and Keanu, and we've made the changes that would allow her to agree to come back. It feels like that's what they did. It feels like they kind of went, hey, we got to make Trinity want to be here too. And I all in all, I feel as if like what they're trying to do here isn't the problem. It's just how they do it. The attempt to do a lot of what the setting plus time equals new setting, right? The update to the setting, it on paper, it's not something that's like inherently shit. It's just the way they went about it was really, and to just kind of like underline all that, like there's a villain who is like also being modern, quirky, kind of cringe with some of the lines. Like,
as soon as this conversation started to turn, I had this feeling in my gut where I'm like, please don't say something in the new Matrix movie is cringe.
it is non-stop cringe.
No.
And there's parts
I'm taking
where
cringe damage over here.
And when you go back and you look, and I did go back and I watched recaps of like the the 2 and 3 as well, just to like get details in mind and stuff. And you look at these ones and you go, okay, there's some scenes where you're watching Niobe and all the other captains meeting up, and everyone's got their leather jackets and their shades on, and they're being true to the aesthetic, right? They're living by that. And yes, Zion is a big wet sex orgy dance party. And if you're not a sex orgy, wet dance party kind of person, then too bad, no humanity for you.
Oh, bummer.
Right? But what you have here is just like taking all of that to modern sensibility, where it's like, okay, back then it was kind of silly, but like it was doing its thing. It was kind of debuting this look. And now it's really out of place. So we're going to update it with modern trimmings, but those modern trimmings just make it look lame. So anyway, background characters, just not great. Like nothing's great. Nothing's great. It's not enjoyable. By the end, I was kind of slouched in my seat. And I'm fully open to the idea that there's meta commentary that I'm perhaps missing, and that if someone wanted to analyze some of the choices they made and go like, here's a good reason thematically why this was this or where that was that, I'm open to that discussion. But as it stands, I was like, my head was where my butt would be sitting in the chair. And it closed out on just me rolling my eyes and kind of digesting that I think this is worse than 1, 2, or 3. I think it's worse than the sequels. I think it's the worst one.
I've seen a lot of talk over my life of like something being meta. We did it like this because the message or whatever, and I've nearly always been like, no one's going to care about your deep ass message if they didn't enjoy what they were doing. Like, I've been seeing people in this chat right now going, the first act was really flaccid on purpose.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
No one will ever care about the fact that you made part of your movie bad on purpose.
And it like, not only is it bad on purpose, but it overstays its welcome heavily. Like, it keeps that whole beginning part going for so long past the point where it needs to be. And it, like, you literally start getting jump cutted to, like, outtakes. It feels like there are literally jump cuts to outtakes in the middle of the whole "it was bad on purpose" bit. And then there's a part in the middle as well where things pick up and pacing increases, but they didn't have time, and you can see that they didn't have time. So, like, they go from being, like, in trouble in an action scene in The Matrix to being, like, outside in the real world talking about what to do next in, like, about 45 seconds of just cuts. And it's just the weirdest thing where they're, like, scenes, like 5 scenes back to back just end super suddenly, and then before you know it, we're introducing a new character that you've got to go meet that's going to help you solve the problem. And yeah, like, anyone who remembers, like, when, if you know, no spoilers, but there's a character they meet in the middle of the movie who proposes an idea for them. Like, that entire sequence, I paused it and went, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, the editing just falls to shit in this. It's really, really just unfortunate, man. Because I was hoping, you know, of course, just you set your expectations low and you go, all right, there's more bad Matrix than good Matrix out there. Unfortunately, it's one of these franchises.
There's only 2 good Matrix, and now there's 3 bad Matrix.
I count some of Animatrix too.
All right, that's your prerogative, but that's okay. I'm not gonna fight you on it. I can see the argument.
But yeah, this comes in as just probably the worst one. Probably the worst one.
Cool.
In the end, probably shouldn't have done it.
Did you get a photo of Hugo Weaving with the little curls, at least?
God, I got you so much worse, and it's it's a spoiler.
What?
I can't.
What? How could the stupid thing I said possibly link to anything real?
Because there's something even dumber about Hugo Weaving in regards to this movie, and, you know, whatever.
Just message it to me on Discord.
No,
I won't
not.
Say it.
No, it's not. It's not enough. It's not. The new form that Agent Smith takes on is like, you just want to die. You just want to die. Everything about it, whenever it's on screen, you just want to die.
I gotta look this up.
It's just this fucking dude just trying to do an SNL impression and failing, and just like whatever. It's just there's new young Smith. He sucks. That's all. I just
okay. Good. Excellent.
He's very bad. He's very, very bad.
Not like it was an important character or anything.
Well, you would think, but then he's not. Just some guy. He fucking. He looks at a gun on the ground and then he just starts screaming, and then he's now I'm Smith. Anyway,
Man,
I
I don't
don't,
know what the fuck you're talking about.
dude. It's not good. It's just not good. It's
This
bad.
sounds great. This sounds super good.
No, so that's it. I didn't like it very much. But I can see that people who are like, oh, let's just have fun. It's just fun. Like I can see people like that are like, yeah, it's having fun. That's fine. It's fun. And you know, that's cool. I just you know, I based on what you know, other awesome things I've seen from them, I'm just, this one comes in really fucking below par, you know. Keanu's Keanu though. You don't got to feel bad about that. He's fine. He just does his thing.
I don't know. Some of the Keanu shine came off for me with Cyberpunk.
Perhaps, and it'll even more will come off with this. But you got your John Wicks, you know. So
I don't like the third one.
I didn't see it, but hey, anyway, Keanu does Keanu in this movie, and in the end, Keanu is fine.
Of course he does. It's the only role he knows how to act.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of. If you're a big fan of coffee, this movie has a lot of coffee in it. Coffee
I do like a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, coffee should be on the supporting cast as well. Like coffee's got a big role to play. Keanu drinking coffee is a thing.
Keanu's in the Matrix drinking coffee. Is this the TV show that was adapted into this movie?
I can't like if you when you see this, like just keep that idea in mind. Like movie franchise creates a TV sequel, not like and like TV sequel for like Fox or something, like not like Netflix original, like TV sequel to back to broadcast TV. Made too many episodes, probably not enough budget. Let's cut down this TV show into a 2.5 hour movie and call it there. And that's the vibe. You know?
2.5 hours?
Yeah. Like even the cinematography, even the like the color grading and just the overall like the look of everything, even that takes a hit. You know? The shit that should be an absolute slam dunk in a lot of cases is like they show there's parts of it where they're being meta, so they're showing flashes of the old movie literally inside of the new movie, and all they really do is remind you how much cooler it looked back in the flashback. You know, it just serves as a huge dichotomy.
That's just great.
Yeah. So that's all. I didn't like it.
I lied, by the way. That doesn't sound great at all. That was a lie that I told just now.
I mean, look, man, like, you know, you can do an educational watch on this thing just to fucking...
Thinking about it!
Yeah.
Thinking about it. Because it doesn't sound so much as, like, complete garbage as, like, fascinatingly misguided.
Oh, yeah. Like, hey, old characters that you liked from the sequels...
Right.
Here they are. They're
right.
here. They walk on screen because we worked out a contract for them to show up for a couple minutes, and they're just going to yell over this fight scene that's really bad. And we're going to intercut the bad fight scene with a returning character who's just here to just yell a monologue over the fight scene. Almost like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet. Like, in the weirdest way possible, you're just cutting back and forth to bad fighting and a weird monologue, and then the bad fighting ends, and then the monologue ends, and he walks away.
I only wanted to be on set for 1 or 2 days.
Absolutely big on set for 1 day energy. Huge on set for 1 day energy.
You know, I don't want to be talking to you about a Matrix movie and lock on to similarities between the new Matrix movie and like Cameron Mitchell fucking garbage?
I
Not familiar
wouldn't
with
be able
Cameron
to follow
Mitchell?
you.
He's this old garbage actor that's in like 1,000 fucking movies that just
Okay.
keeps showing back up on Red Letter Media.
Okay.
And like there are films in which you can tell he was only there for one day
Okay.
because all his scenes are him in a desk reading his script like as if it were like a document, but
Yeah.
he's just clearly reading the script. And then I forget which one, but there's one in which he like literally doesn't stand up for the whole movie. He's just sitting in a chair in a field with his coat on, just mumbling his drunken lines.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I don't want these comparison points to have any degree of accuracy.
Yeah.
But the way you're describing it,
Yeah. So seeing here, I'm talking like this is the worst movie and it's fucking not.
no, but Matrix 1
I
is
just
so important.
it's just I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I want to emphasize that. If you did, that's cool. I didn't. Matrix 1 was really important. Matrix 1 was really good. Matrix 1 is fucking solid and it still holds up. And goddamn, the end of that movie still like even just rewatching that finale sequence, goosebumps. To this day, I'm like, yeah, absolute banger. Fucking awesome. None of that power of the finale of The Matrix 1 is to be anywhere to be found in this. And what you just have instead is like fun ideas, and then you can play with those ideas in your head and like decide whether or not you like that or you don't. But
Wait, I don't go to a fucking movie theater to fucking leave going, what if I imagined a fun movie?
yeah. But look, I can see that, and like it's getting, its Rotten Tomatoes is like, I think I looked at it and saw it was like 60% or so, and there's enough people that are like, yeah, it did I saw stuff that was, I don't know, enough or enjoyable or whatever, but I just, and I don't want, it's not that I'm always comparing it to the first one, because I'm very willing to have this stand on its own 2 feet. I was willing to walk into a movie that was like, just about anything could have happened in this world after all this time.
Yeah.
I was open to.
They could have done any story they wanted.
And then there's other stuff that I didn't even remember, where there's things that are initially kind of unexplained, but you buy into the idea of like, oh, maybe there's a good explanation for this. Let's keep watching to find out. And then by the end, there is no good explanation.
Cool.
Where you're like, you're seeing how like some of these new characters are like freeing themselves, so to speak, and you kind of look and you think, oh, maybe there's like a deliberate effort going on here to like build up a resistance or something, and then it turns out to just not be that. It's kind of just not a great, just kind of a random explanation that doesn't, so what you put on hold, and what you go like, oh, good explanation, maybe coming later, you just hit credits and you don't really get one. You go, oh, okay, all right, I guess that didn't really have much to say. Whatever. That's it.
I disagree with the idea that you shouldn't compare a movie to its own direct sequels and prequels. If there was anything that you were to directly compare them to, it would be its own sister or brother movies in its own genre and series.
But someone who's going to play defense will say, you're just angrily jerking off that it didn't do what the first one did. Get over it. It's its own movie, right?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. It's been decades.
That's the defense.
If it's not going to do that, then why make the fucking thing in the first place?
I think it's an absolute.
You're just mad at DMC 2 because it didn't do what the first one did by being a competent action game.
Yeah. No, yes. I think it's completely valid. I'm just like, look, man, some people out there like it for whatever reasons, but I ain't one of them. So that's all.
Let's look at the Rocky movies. There's like 10 of those fucks right now. And you know what everyone can agree on? Fucking Rocky 5 sucks shit. That one fucking sucks. And I guess it would be all right if it wasn't Rocky 5 of 22. And it was compared to fucking complete bangers all the way around.
All the problems that were in Reloaded and Revelations, still, like we said, left you with scenes and moments and takeaways that are like solid, that are like, that's cool, that's a good thing completely, in this otherwise bad series of decisions. I still like the balls of the architect and what that represents.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun to see.
I
in the theater.
love the balls of putting a character, a moment, and an explanation like that into a movie. Like, fucking great. Despite the other problems. I can't look at this and say there's anything like that where I go, this whole thing here is great. It's just the idea of the two things I talked about. And it's not fleshed out to be the best version of it, what it could be. It's just touched on, and the rest is the work that you do in your head for it, you know? Anyway, that's enough of that. Go give it a curiosity gander if you want to know, but like...
I will do that.
You know, this is going under. This is lifting up the rest of the franchise by being at the bottom of it.
That's super